This is an interesting one when it comes to gaming laptops. How many people have a gaming laptop? That's something. That's something that I kind of look at, and I've always treated laptops like second class citizens. I never really respected a gaming laptop, and I still really don't. I think most gamers out there have a full blown desktop. Not to say laptops can't do amazing things, it's just I know I could get better on a desktop. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Let's see what this article says. Obviously, performance desktop wins. In other words, water is wet, the sky is blue. I think everyone knew for performance, there's no way a gaming laptop can come anywhere close to a desktop. When doing apples to apples, I do have an amazing laptop in there. I still use it. It's like 3 years old now. It was a K Focus, but it was like a 4K laptop, $4,000 laptop, and it was Jesus, 2080 Super, 64 gigs of RAM, a 10th gen laptop. But man, it still performed pretty well. I'd say that's my best ever performing laptop from just a spec standpoint, and honestly, usage. The only problem it had was when you started really pushing it, it got loud, like jet engine loud. So that was the downside to some of these higher end laptops that I saw. Usable performance, it's a draw. Okay, what's his rationale with that? That's kind of interesting. Mainstream laptops like Razer Blade keep up with mid-range gaming PCs. Okay. I can kind of follow that, I guess, if you're going a little bit higher on the mobile chips and then you're comparing it to a lesser graphics card on the desktop. That kind of makes sense, like the 3070 comparative to like a 3060 on a desktop. I could see that. And all right. So you could for a mid-range, but I mean, for price to performance here, obviously the desktop's going to win by like a huge margin because of 3060 compared to a 3070 is a pretty big sizable difference. But good to know. The Tuxedo laptop was actually I bought that with just it was $1,000 laptop, like if you went out and bought it, and I bought that one specifically for writing articles and just mobile gaming. It's mainly my main daily driver to be, because it's really portable, has a really good battery life because there's no external GPU or anything with the Tuxedo. So that's kind of what I thought for that side of things. You could do some light gaming or really old gaming on it because of the Iris graphics. I think it was a 12th gen, so a little bit newer Intel card, but still not near. I wouldn't use it for any kind of serious gaming for sure. Okay, so I can kind of see that if you want to pay double and get the small laptop form factor and be comparable to a mid-range desktop, I give it that. I wouldn't call it a draw though. Usable performance is still the desktop winning. Generational features. The CPU and GPU inside your PC, blah 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 blah, may run at lower clock speeds and power levels, but the actual architecture is the same. Okay. 30 RTX GPU has some ray tracing AI scums. Well, I guess that would be true, but I don't know how actual true that is. I want to say NVENC and some other things you get on the desktop side of things gets kind of skimped out on the mobile side of things. But I could be wrong. I'm gonna just I some suspect that there is still some issues with this on the laptop side of things. Value for money, it depends. If you spend the same amount of money on a gaming laptop as a gaming desktop, you'll get more performance from the gaming desktop. Yeah, no doubt. However, you're getting something for that money. I guess it just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're like big into like modern AAA titles and want like all the whiz bang graphics, obviously you're going with a gaming desktop. I don't think anybody on the higher end of things are going to be doing anything with that. However, if you're doing like 1080p gaming and you're playing older games or you're fine playing like Cyberpunk at a little bit less, like a low to medium setting, I could see where the laptop steps in, and that's okay, as long as you're okay with that. I think it's a little misleading, this article, as I'm reading on. I'm kind of like, there's obviously an inherent bias because anybody in the space looks at gaming desktop versus laptop, and they're going to go gaming desktop like by a mile. Usability, desktops win by a mile. Well, yeah, upgradability. Yeah, I totally see that. I read that as usability, but it's actually upgradability. Yeah, I get it. New laptop hardware is narrowing the gap. Now, this is something that's interesting. It hasn't really happened yet. I think they're saying here, early benchmarks leaks, that the 4090 trade blows with the 3090 on the desktop. I'm going to disagree with this just yet, but after talking with like Jeff at Craft Computing, he said like the new versions, this new Intel chip, not the 14th gen that just got released yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever that was, but the new Intel chips, the next gen of it, will have an entire separate, basically die with GPUs for it, and the compute units traditionally have been for like on PC for APUs have been like anywhere between 2 and 8. That new chip is going to actually have 36 or 32, something like that in the 30s for GPU compute units. And that is definitely comparable to some of the lower tier graphics cards. I'm curious to see where that goes. I think comparing these external, basically mobile GPUs baked into these laptops, desktop always wins, like hands down. The price is going to be better, the upgradability is going to be better, the performance is going to be better, everything's going to be better on the desktop, except for mobility. That's all you pick up with a gaming laptop. However, I do see a future in my future where the APUs actually become good and we no longer need the 48 mobile or whatever it might be for your higher end graphics, and you could get away with like a 1080p APU laptop and game and have good performance. That I think is in our future. Right now, obviously, I would never recommend anybody to buy a gaming laptop unless that's just like your jam and that's what you want to do. But from every metric, I wouldn't do it. So I'm pretty like them just giving desktop performance and upgradability to desktops. I'm kind of like, no, desktops is better in every single metric in my opinion. Do you have any laptop recommendations? No, not really, man. Laptops, I kind of bounce back and forth. There was one laptop that I thought was really cool from HP. I think it was the HP Dev 1. I don't know if you ever saw this one, guys. It was really cool. It was like a development laptop, and they only sold it for a brief period of time. It came with like Pop! OS or something loaded, and it was cool. It was like this Ryzen 7, and I kind of dug what they were trying to do with it. I think it became more problematic and not very many people bought it, so they pretty much just stopped selling it. But I thought that one was kind of a neat one. I never did get to put my hands on it, but it was one that I kind of had my eye on. A lot of the other Linux laptops I've tried in the past, like the K-Focus and the Tuxedos, I really like those just because I do use Linux all the time on my laptops. And I hate buying like an Asus or something like that, a major name brand, and then finding my touchpad or my Wi-Fi doesn't work right, or I want to throw a distro on and I have to load some DKMS weird module for the RGB on it. I don't want to mess with any of that. So a lot of times I like to stick to laptops that can come with Linux directly on them. That way I know I won't run into driver issues, because if you've ever had a laptop and you loaded Linux on it and you've run into driver issues, it's just a nightmare. It's not one to it's not fun to mess around with. You can get around it, mind you, but I like to move to a lot of different distributions, and I like to tinker a lot, and I like a lot of my stuff just to kind of work out of the box. So that's kind of where it is. The RDNA 3 being a beast, Blue, I kind of thought it would be better than it is, but teach his own. I just realized I have chat up over there.